All right, we've got some details on Deommodore Lenoir's contract. It's actually not worth 92 million total. It's worth 88.8 million total. But that aggregate surface level number doesn't tell us a whole lot. We have some more numbers beyond that. I know that I always try to walk you guys through this and explain it, and I can hear 49ers got the good end of the stick on this deal. Deommodore Lenoir's contract features only 15.4 million of fully guaranteed money, which ranks number 25 of all cornerbacks. You guys always hear me say that it's smart to judge a contract based on the fully guaranteed money instead of the APY, the average per year. Well, Lenoir's APY is 17.8 million per year. And that ranks number 12 amongst cornerbacks. So it's right at the bottom of that top cluster, but the fully guaranteed money ranks all the way down at number 25. Pro Football Talk just listed the first details. We're going to have the grid that we normally see on Over the Cap and what I'll put onto my salary cap sheet in a little bit. But it's a $13 million signing bonus for Deommodore Lenoir. Obviously, the rest of this year is fully guaranteed for him. And then he's got $2 million of next season fully guaranteed at signing. So 13 million plus the 2 million plus whatever the 400,000 base salary or whatever, however much more was guaranteed for this year. That makes up the 15.4 million fully guaranteed for Deommodore Lenoir. And that is not an excessively high total. I wrote about him yesterday on the San Francisco Standard. You should go check this out. A 5'10" cornerback named the Hyena hunts down a huge payday from the 49ers. It is a big payday. That's the win for Deommodore Lenoir. He can earn up to 88 million, but the 49ers have been able to keep the guaranteed totals on the relatively lower end of the spectrum. And I can show you right now when we look at Over the Cap. So, for example, the average per year, and I know Lenoir's not in this database here yet, but average per year, Jalen Ramsey's at the very top, 24.1 million. Charvarius Ward, he's in here at 13.5 million. I believe Ward is at around number 14 or 15 now on the list. Lenoir's going to slot in behind Jalen Johnson, ahead of Carlton Davis from the Lions at his number of 17.8 per year. Then we sort this by fully guaranteed money. Denzel Ward is at the top. Fully guaranteed money, as I said, 15.4 million per year. That's the amount of money that that Deommodore Lenoir is going to take home no matter what. And as you can see, once you get down to number 12, it's still up in the 30s here. Lenoir is at 15.4 million. You've got to go all the way down to number 25 after Kenny Moore, a slot cornerback for the Colts, ahead of Emmanuel Forbes of the Washington Commanders, who are about to play the Eagles in about 30 minutes. Got to go all the way down there to Emmanuel Forbes' number to find a number that's comparable to what Deommodore Lenoir has in terms of fully guaranteed money. Forbes, by the way, that's a rookie contract. So that's a first-round pick rookie contract of guaranteed money. So the bottom line is that this is a win for the 49ers. Everything that we look at strategically from the San Francisco point of view has to consider the Brock Purdy mega deal, which is looming as a very important backdrop. 49ers have a tough salary cap situation moving forward. I track it right here. Could put it over on the side of the screen. This is their 2024 salary cap situation. They've got, this is before I've inputted the final Deommodore Lenoir numbers, by the way. So his cap hit is still 3.19 million. Maybe it remains unchanged. Maybe they've been able to defer all that to the future, but we'll see how that impacts the 49ers salary cap for this year. Won't be by much. What they do have is $51.3 million in salary cap space. That means that they've done a lot of restructures to get to this point. They've kicked some of the can down the road, but they can also kick the savings down the road. So if they don't use this $51.3 million, which it's going to be really hard to use since there are no high-priced free agents out there right now, anything that they don't use is going to be pushed forward into future seasons. This is where they need it, though, because you go forward to 2025, And you can see that that number here at the top has decreased to 3.39 million. And they only have 33 players under contract. That includes Deommodore Lenoir. I estimated an $8 million cap hit for Lenoir next year. We'll see how close to being correct my estimation is. It's a very, very rough estimate for Demo's number next season. Anyway, if you take 50 million and add it to the 3.3 million at the top, you've got 53 million. All of a sudden, you've got a little bit more money laying around to pay the rest of this roster. Again, they still have 20 players to fit into the 53-man. They're going to sign even more, but the top 51 rule is going to help them throughout the offseason. Only the 51 most valuable cap hits will count during the offseason. Then they'll cut down the roster to 53 men at the start of 2025, and that's how you come up with your salary cap sheet, the one that I have here. This is all projection of where San Francisco is going to be. Now, the key thing about this projection is that Brock Purdy for 2025 here at the top is still only listed at a $1.12 million cap hit. I think we can surmise that it's going to be a lot more than that in 2025. It won't necessarily be 60 million, even if he makes a contract worth 62 million per year. They're going to backload that deal, but they still are going to have to find space for a Brock Purdy contract that definitely will not be as cheap as the one that's currently on the books. That's the final year of his rookie contract. So when they're structuring this Deommodore Lenoir deal and when they're negotiating it, they want to find something that can push as much money out to the future, A, and B, if possible, they want to find something where the guarantees aren't going to cripple the 49ers in case something goes south with Deommodore Lenoir. And the fact that there's only $15.4 million of fully guaranteed money in this deal, and the fact that the 49ers did use a signing bonus and an option bonus structure. We see the signing bonus for $13 million, a 2025 option bonus, which will also prorate $6.5 million, and I think that's the only option bonus that the 49ers used. I think they only used 2. Yes, the fact that they were able to do that and put big amounts of base salary into future years, such as 2026. There's a base salary of $15.7 million, a base salary of $16.1 million in 2027, and a base salary of $16.1 million in 2028, followed by a base salary of $16.9 million in 2029. That money is not guaranteed. There's guaranteed for injury in 2026. But the 2024 and 2025 seasons are the only ones that feature fully guaranteed money at signing for Deommodore Lenoir. So as long as the cap continues increasing, then the 49ers, and as long as Deommodore Lenoir remains a productive player, the 49ers will be able to go to Lenoir every single season, essentially, and say, hey, why don't we convert some base salary into signing bonus and push that money out into the future like an accordion. That's how it works with the salary cap. You can always restructure a contract, and the 49ers have given themselves team control through 2029 for Deommodore Lenoir, but that team control is not costing them anything beyond 2026. And in 2026, it's a guarantee for injury. So it's really not costing them anything beyond 2025. Now, in exchange, Deommodore Lenoir receives the $13 million signing bonus. And, I guess it does cost the 49ers that, but that's part of doing business in the NFL. You expect to pay your players. What I'm mean to say here is that they didn't have to spend on a huge $40 or $50 million signing bonus just to exercise the contractual control over Deommodore Lenoir until 2029. When I put this out into spreadsheet form, which I'll do for you by tomorrow, I think that this should crystallize a lot more. But this is definitely a win for the 49ers in that they were able to attain contractual control of a promising young player through 2029, and they didn't have to pay an arm and a leg for it. Lenoir had to sign the deal too. So he wanted that signing bonus, that financial security sooner. I think that took a lot of maturity on his part. He didn't want to stretch this out into the offseason again. And we've seen this with so many players with the 49ers over the past few years, that they have to pay a lot of guys. They have to fit a lot under the hood of the salary cap, which you see illustrated right here. It's not easy, especially when you're talking about the Brock Purdy situation looming in 2025. But Those contracts, the other ones the 49ers had negotiated before now that had been very, very big, they had taken much longer to execute. Lenoir, for obviously less guaranteed money than the other deals that we've seen in the past, and we didn't expect as much for him, but for significantly less guaranteed money, even when that's taken into the account, has decided to sign sooner, has decided to cash in $13 million signing bonus, $15.4 million fully guaranteed in mid-November of 2024, the final season that he's under his rookie contract. Anyway, the article on Lenoir is up on the Standard. Great stuff from Richard Sherman. Great stuff from Lenoir himself, not Lombardi himself, Lenoir himself. Guess we have the same last initial. And just a big moment for the young cornerback. He's only 25 years old, and obviously a big moment for the 49ers. It's possible for these things to be win-wins. And Deommodore Lenoir decided to sign the contract that was put in front of him because he decided that that $13 million signing bonus was what was enough at this point for him. So a win for the 49ers when I look at the cap situation. And I'm not going to say that it wasn't a win for Deommodore Lenoir because it's his money and it's his contract. And he obviously decided that now was the good time to secure his future. He did say yesterday, and this is in the article up on the San Francisco Standard, when my agent called me and told me that the contract was done, I burst out into tears. I finally was able to change my family's life for generations. Cool stuff. And the next one that we're probably going to be talking about is Purdy, the mega deal for Brock Purdy. This right here is from Brock Purdy's press conference today. I thought that this was a powerful, powerful moment and a powerful answer. Speaking about Ricky Pearsall, and we've heard Ricky Pearsall talk about the fact that he believes that there was some divine intervention after what happened on August 31st, that he's seen so many different signs, right? If you're not a man of faith after you see exactly how the whole Ricky Pearsall shooting situation went down and now he scored his first NFL touchdown, you might become somebody of faith. And we know that Brock Purdy is a man of faith, and he has discussed the miracles that have happened along the road in Ricky Pearsall's recovery. Let's hear from Purdy on that today.
100%. He's talked about it to me, and I totally agree with him, man. And obviously, I'm a believer in God, and to see him go through that and then to get back and just the story that he has, there's no way that's just a coincidence. Like, that's just my firm belief, and I know he's told me that, and he's told all the guys that. And to see him back playing and his story, man, it's something bigger than football. It's bigger than, what we're doing here right now. It's way bigger than that. We're still sort of trying to figure it out, and we'll see what happens with it all. But, if you ask us, it was God. So
powerful, powerful stuff from Brock Purdy. And a lot of that faith put to the test over the course of the last couple months. But we have seen Ricky Pearsall score his first career touchdown for the 49ers. Happened against Tampa Bay. And it seems like that's going to be the first of many for Ricky Pearsall. With the way that he has already integrated this quickly into what the 49ers are doing, that is impressive, impressive stuff. I'm going to open it up to a Q&A about Deommodore Lenoir's contract right now. The Q&A should take us up until kickoff here of Thursday Night Football. We've got the Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles as we open up this 49ers Q&A. Mike thinks that this contract is a win for the 49ers. Next, we have to ask John Lynch when he will start on the Brock Purdy contract. The contract for Purdy cannot be signed until after the regular season is over because Purdy is still by rule under the rookie contract and the rookie contract only. But as soon as the regular season is over, Brock Purdy can sign a new contract. That being said, he's got a lot of leverage here. He's a quarterback, right? And when that's the case, the 49ers are probably going to want this to be at a discounted rate relative to what Purdy can ultimately get early in these negotiations. Purdy's going to want to take some of his leverage, use it to bet on himself for more money. I would be very surprised if he signed something before the playoffs were over. 49ers have an opportunity to go win a Super Bowl, which would make Purdy a whole lot more pricey for San Francisco. That's just how the market works, though. But I do think that there is not as much ambiguity with the Brock Purdy situation as there was with Brandon Ayuk, for example. Somebody who had great efficiency stats, but the raw stats, because the 49ers had so many other weapons, weren't as high. There was a question, okay, is Brandon Ayuk going to be at the very top of the market? Is he going to be number 10? He ended up being what? Around number 5 in that receiver market. So they ended up finding the sweet spot, but I do think there was some ambiguity and disagreement about where exactly the money should fall for Brandon Ayuk. I don't think there's going to be any ambiguity and disagreement around Brock Purdy. He's playing at an elite level. He's playing at a much higher level than the current number 1, Dak Prescott, who's at $60 million per year. He's going to chime in at over $60 million per year. The market is the market, and the 49ers are going to have to go meet it. I mean, that's just as simple as it gets, right? It's cut and dry. The quarterback position is not cheap. It's not cheap because it's so valuable and because it's so difficult to perform at. But Brock Purdy has answered every single question so far. I will say that we can wait another couple months before we really attack this in earnest. For now, the 49ers had to set themselves up for that Brock Purdy contract. And I think this Deommodore Lenoir deal, which ranks number 12 in average per year and number 25 in fully guaranteed money, does the job for San Francisco. They have set the groundwork to pay Brock Purdy with all the preceding deals. They also were able to backload the Brandon Ayuk contract, a tough break, obviously, that he tore his ACL. But even that did not financially cripple the 49ers and their cap situation moving forward as they get ready for the big Brock Purdy expenditure. So it's up to Parag Marathe, and it's up to the 49ers entire salary cap staff, the entire business side of this operation, to make sure they keep things financially sustainable. And if we look at the mechanics of these contracts, especially this Deommodore Lenoir one, I do believe that the 49ers have managed to do just that. Did the 49ers get insurance for Ayuk and Hargrave? The 49ers get insurance on almost all of their big contracts, so I'm sure they did. The salary cap adjustment for those situations will not come in until next year, though. You get it back as a credit, and that's also going to help in the Brock Purdy negotiations for the 49ers. Who should the 49ers root for tonight between Washington and Philadelphia for playoff seeding purposes? Well, I'm getting the standings open. I think it's so hard to project stuff because at this time last year, Philadelphia had only 1 loss, right? Didn't they go up to like 10-1 or 11-1 last year? And then the 49ers broke them, and then they lost almost everything from there on out. So you just never know who's going to go on a big win streak or who's going to go on a big losing streak moving forward. So the whole rooting interest thing is really tough this early on. But Philadelphia is 7-2. Washington is 7-3. Philadelphia has a plus 72 point differential. Washington has a plus 73 point differential. So it couldn't be any more tightly matched when it comes to records and point differential. And it's funny that Philadelphia at 7-2, that spells out their point differential of plus 72. Washington at 73, that spells out their differential of plus 73. That's just a big time coincidence, by the way. The chances of that seem to be really, really low. Washington's got the better offense. Philadelphia's got the better defense. Both of them are 2-0 in their division. Washington is 5-1 in conference play, which ends up being a tiebreaker. And we've looked at that before for the 1 seed and all that stuff. Philadelphia is 4-2 in conference play. For comparison, obviously, the 49ers are 5-4 right now. They're plus 31 differential, so it hadn't been nearly as good as either of those two teams this year. But I think the 49ers still have a surge in them. It might be happening as we speak. They've won 2 straight games. The 49ers are 3-3 in conference play. So I think if you're a 49ers fan, you just sit back and you enjoy this game. That's what you can do on a Thursday night. You don't play Seattle until Sunday. Just go and watch two good teams go after each other. I think it's going to be entertaining football today. Is that one in our nation's capital or is it in Philadelphia? I'm taking a look right now. It is in Philly, and that's why the Eagles are favorites. 4.5-point favorites over the Commanders. Both teams, again, evenly matched so far this year. Should be a really good game that kicks off in about 5 minutes. Does this close the door to Charvarius Ward? Absolutely not. It just depends on what Charvarius Ward is going to fetch next year on the market. And if he decides to wait until the market opens, which he probably should, 49ers can also use a franchise tag. They still have one of those next season. Remember, the Chiefs used it on L'Jarius Sneed, then they traded him. But this does not close the door on Charvarius Ward because the 49ers are not paying Deommodore Lenoir as one of the very top corners in the game. And you can see the top money is Jalen Ramsey, Patrick Surtain, Jair Alexander. Those are all really high figures. Lenoir's down at $17.8 million. This does not close the door on keeping Charvarius Ward moving forward. Jay is yelling, you think you know about salary cap like they discuss it with me. Well, maybe they do discuss it with me. Maybe that's why I know so much about the salary cap. Don't think your comment worked out there, Jay. Mark says, a pick six for the Hyena in this Sunday's game would be the cherry on the cake for his week. Yes, it would. $13 million signing bonus in the bank. Maybe DK Metcalf on the other side. Seahawks on the other side. Lenoir always seems to show up for every game. But for the Seahawks, that was the first playoff game in that 2022 season where he notched an interception. That started the run that led to the contract. It would be a fitting full circle moment for Deommodore Lenoir. Christian McCaffrey did call out the internet doctors today. We've been calling him out for 2 months. Christian McCaffrey got to call him out today. That's why you should probably watch this channel and not many others, because other channels were saying the 49ers were lying, McCaffrey was lying, that he was going to retire. They were speculating to no end about his Achilles when they knew nothing about his Achilles. Meanwhile, I said, guys, sit back. The 49ers are going to slow play this. Because I actually talked to people. I actually know, what's going on. I said, McCaffrey will be back probably after the bye. I said that like over a month ago at this point. Look what happened. Christian McCaffrey came back a little bit after the bye. So take it for what it's worth. But Christian McCaffrey called out the internet doctors, the Instagram doctors, as he said today. Pharrell says he should call out internet coaches and internet GMs too. I think we do that a lot here, and I think it's tiresome at this point. I think that people just don't want to. You could see it. You could see it in the numbers, right? You could see people are not watching stuff that is just trash online. That's why our views are much, much higher than everybody else talking about the 49ers right now. This is a good question. You wonder if Hufanga will do a 1-year prove-it deal next year in order to potentially secure a long-term contract afterwards. It just depends on if he can play again this year, right? If he can get back there and put some good stuff on tape, that will make his value a lot better entering free agency. But if he can't play again this season, coming off the torn wrist ligament because he had the ACL last year and because the tape this year was very, very abbreviated, he may be forced to take a prove-it deal next year because the all-pro season was back in 2022 for Talanoa Hufanga. That's far back in the rearview mirror. So I think it's really important for him to get back on the field again before that contract expires. Taqueria Cancun for dinner? I think so. Somebody asked me that they need dinner recommendations, food recommendations. If you're your first time in San Francisco, you're coming this weekend, go get a super burrito from Taqueria Cancun. Unless you're on the other side of town, you go to Sam's, get the double cheeseburger. If you want something fancy, well, I'm here to recommend sandwiches and burritos. I don't know what your fancy food preference would be. I should host tours and food tours in San Francisco. Somebody said that's one of the comments down there. Well, we're about to see kickoff, aren't we, in this game? I'd like to take a moment to thank Mike. Yeah, why don't we thank Mike? Because this month is all about gratitude. And along with Mike, who I just shouted out, there's another person we don't get to thank enough, ourselves. It's sometimes hard to remind ourselves that we are trying our best to make sense of everything. And in this crazy world, that isn't easy. So here's a reminder to send them some thanks to the people in your life, including Mike for me and including yourself. Whether or not you've been in therapy, it's important and helpful for positive people skills to learn how to set boundaries, to empower you to be the best version of yourself, because that kind of stuff is important, especially at this time of the year. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Lombardi Lounge today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/Lombardi Lounge. BetterHelp, HELP.com/Lombardi Lounge. So anyway, shout out to Mike. Awesome guy. Shout out to everybody about to go watch some Thursday night football. We'll talk to you soon.